Oh, speaking of fighting games, there's a YouTube channel called Hold Back to Block. If you've never checked out their stuff, highly recommend. Good, great content on fighting games and stuff. They put out 2 videos about Killer Instinct. Very informative, very interesting stuff about the history of Killer Instinct. And they had 2 of them. One was history of Killer Instinct, and the other one was the history of Killer Instinct music specifically, and the sound design and all the audio. Both very, very good documentaries. I highly recommend them. And then just watch all the other Hold Back to Block videos because they're fucking great. Especially the audio one. And I mean, it is legitimately about the audio. They don't just focus on the music and then kind of skimp over the sound. They legitimately, like, they interview the sound designers from season 1 and 2 of Killer Instinct and ask them, and they go in depth too. One of the lead sound designers, he actually talks about some of the sounds he made and how he made them. I don't know all the character's name, but there's a skeleton dude. He's like a skeleton dude, and he's like a pirate. He's like a skeleton pirate. He's got like a shield, and on the shield, it's got like these like tentacles and stuff on it. And they asked the sound designer, like he talked about like how he was gonna make a sound for those tentacles like moving and stuff. Because if you look at the idle animation of that character, those tentacles just move like constantly. They're never like stopped. So he was like, well, how do I do some sound? What am I gonna do for the sound design for that? And he said the story, it's very interesting. Apparently he was with they talk about it in the documentary, but apparently he was with his wife, and his wife had eaten some, like, I don't know, some tacos or something that just wasn't sitting right in her stomach, and he could hear like this like gurgling sound in her stomach, and he was like, yo, that sounds sick. So what he did was he rubbed some like gel on her stomach, and then he took a microphone that's, I guess, is a waterproof microphone meant specifically to record like sounds in the water. I think it's used mainly for like documentaries when they're filming like underwater stuff, you know, like whale watching or fucking Shark Week on Discovery Channel. They're probably recording sounds and stuff under the ocean and everything. That's what those mics are used for. And he put it in the gel so it would record the sounds, and he recorded the sounds of his wife's like stomach acid just gurgling in her inside of her. And he was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna use that for this sound. And it's pretty gross, but it fits very well. It's super cool. It's one of those like fun stories. It's like, yeah, this is why sound design's super cool. And on top of that, I mean, if you don't know already, Mick Gordon, who has composed, he's done the 2 newest Doom games, Doom and Doom Eternal, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. He actually did the first 2 seasons of Killer Instinct back in the day. And yeah, he goes in depth. They do a brief in the music one, the music documentary, Hold Back to Block. They go over all the music, but they kind of just touch on it very quickly. They definitely had to edit out a good chunk, to the point where there is actually a separate video there's actually a separate video with Mick Gordon, and he goes in depth with every single song he wrote for Killer Instinct. And understand, he wrote a song for every character, because every character has a specific theme. And he goes in depth with all of it and talks about like what inspired it. He even shows some like rough drafts. Like he's like, here's what the original idea was for him. And it's something that's still cool, but it's not quite what it became. And then he shows, he's like, yeah, we didn't really like that idea, so we scrapped it. And you're like, damn, but that still sounded pretty tight. And then they show you the final, you're like, fuck, this is even better. He interviewed Mick Gordon for so long that he was just like, yeah, I gotta, he just made a separate video being like, here's Mick Gordon just talking about all the music he wrote. For like, it's like an hour-long video. It's pretty nuts, but it's super informative. I think it's very interesting. Highly recommend it. They actually talk about how they programmed the music too, and their idea. Yeah, one of the things Mick Gordon talks about and they show is, since he was involved with the first season of Killer Instinct, that means he was involved with like kind of the making of it and the making of the music and everything. And he had the idea of, we should make it so, or someone had the idea, I don't know if it was Mick Gordon necessarily, but they had the idea of like, why don't we let the player compose the music to an extent, right? Make it feel like the player has control over what's happened musically in the game, as well as, you know, they're not only they're controlling the character, but they're controlling the sounds and the music as well. Like, it almost feels like they're the composer, or they're the conductor conducting the orchestra. And you can hear it in the game too. Actually, the one example I'd heard prior to watching the documentary, I played Killer Instinct a little bit. You can check this out. It's really cool. If you go and play Killer Instinct, go into like training mode or go into arcade, whatever you want. This is a quick thing. Start the game up and pause it really quick. And then just select stuff, like move the cursor up and down on the select screen, and you'll hear, whoa, buddy. Okay. And what you'll hear is, you'll hear kind of a chime sound. And instead of the chime being constant, it's actually like, you'll notice it changes every single time. Like, it's not the same chime. It's not like you select down. Sorry, I just want to like make this example clear. For instance, actually here, like, let me see if I can turn this up for you on Crash here so you can hear this. Listen to how Crash does their select, right? If I move down, let me turn it up a little bit. Kind of hear, right? It's like it's just the same click sound, right? Nothing too crazy. That you hear, it's the same constant click. But what Killer Instinct decided to do, and I noticed this and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. They didn't have to do this, but I appreciate it, is they put a chime. And in that chime sound, it changes every single time you do it. And it's not changing specifically when you go down or up. It changes anytime you select the next note. It's a sequence. It actually sequences. And the reason every chime is different is because when you select and you keep going, it plays a sequence. And that sequence is actually the Killer Instinct theme. Whenever you pause the game like this and you go like this, it'll just play the next note in the sequence of the Killer Instinct theme. It's super cool. It's like, I've learned how to program audio into games. It's not an extremely difficult thing to do that, but the fact that they did it, it's still, you have to think about it and do that. They could have easily just made 1 or 2 or 3 different click sounds, and then it would have been the same click, monotone click sound when you select, but they decided, no, let's put the melody as a selection. And they do talk about it in the documentary for Killer Instinct. It's very fascinating. It's a really cool thing. I highly recommend it. In Killer Instinct, there's a thing you can do called an ultra finisher, and you can finish off your opponent by doing this like combo, and it like kills them, and it just like, you just absolutely destroy them. But when you do that, you like throw just a shitload of punches and kicks and everything like that. Those punches and kicks, all those are like, they're all tuned to a note. And those notes are related, and the rhythm of the punches and everything. They actually, Mick Gordon had to really work with the animators of Killer Instinct to make this work. It's all rhythmic as well, and it fits the note, the melody, as well as the rhythm of that character's specific theme. Not every character will have the same type of ultra combo. I mean, they won't visually, but even sonically, they won't, musically, not even just sonically, musically, they will have different ultra combos or ultra finishers. It's again, just super fucking cool. It was something they didn't have to do, but they decided to do it. And you know what? I appreciate them for it. Cool shit. If you haven't checked it out, definitely hit up Hold Back to Block. Go on YouTube, Hold Back to Block, Killer Instinct. Watch all 3 of those videos. And trust me, you'll have a good time. You will learn some cool stuff, especially if you're interested in fighting games, if you're interested in music for fighting, if you're interested in music for video games, even sound design for video games. Go check it out. You'll learn some stuff. You'll find out about some stuff. It's fascinating. Or if you're not even interested in like learning about it, if you're just an enthusiast, worth it. Totally worth it to watch. So, excuse me? No, fuck. Felipe here with the strats. Let's go. Hey, this ain't a speed run. I'm just trying to get through the level, damn it. Yo, let's go. I can't believe. Oh, wait.